Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to Stag Voiceover. My name is Neil Glasgow. In today's video, I wanted to go over the voiceover website Voquent and give you a before you buy. So if this is your first before you buy, what I do is I give you the ups and downs of the platform, what I think works well, where I think they might be able to improve, but ultimately I'm not going to give you any negative reviews based on any experiences I've had or any experiences anyone I know's had. So, with that in mind, let's get into it. So, my first up for Voquent is they're actually doing it a little bit differently. So, what I mean by that is Voquent is a voiceover specific website. And what they allow you to do is upload 30 at a maximum samples of your voice. Now, what they don't want is compilations, they don't want music, they want raw sound in various styles, I mean various styles, e-learning, commercial, character work, whatever it is. And their category system is designed to make you far more accessible and searchable on their platform. So, as a platform doing something a little bit differently, I'll give that an up. My next up is actually the category system themselves. So, say I wanted to upload a sample. I wouldn't just go to, this is a commercial read in a Scottish accent. Thankfully, nicely, especially for actually any accent I've looked at so far, they are really good on regional specific accents. If you've got a Scouser accent, if you've got a Louisiana accent, they will have something that is, by county, if nothing else, regional dialects. And I think that's really, really important and really good because the amount of auditions you might come up for that say British English and you apply and you've got a Manchester accent or a Welsh accent, doesn't matter, all Britain, and what they're actually looking for is an RP accent. You know, the clients sometimes just don't specify that. So I like that. I think that Voquent have taken some learns from the industry and done it a bit right. My next up for Voquent is they're actually quite a good resource hub. So what I mean by that is if you go onto Voquent as a voice artist, they have libraries, directories, all sorts of information that essentially tells you this is the best way to set up. This is a top 5 hints for creating a demo. All sorts of stuff. There's about 8 that I can remember being on their just regular access news page. And each of those articles is really well written and it's really in depth. And again, if you're a voiceover artist starting on a new platform, Voquent is actually giving you quite a lot of information that I think will help the new and established artists be not just successful on their platform, but also just in general be successful in voiceover. My next up is Voquent have, I think it's about a 100-page document. It's a PDF. And they have curated, in a very lovely way, lots and lots of agencies, production houses, creative studios, casting directors, talent agents. It's a quite exhaustive list. Maybe not the most up-to-date list, but, you know, it's free. I'll give them that. But it will tell you in category, here's the top 10 or 15 or 20 different companies that they know of that would help someone in their career, whether that's pay-to-play sites, whether that's freelancing sites, and again, as I say, whether that's representation sites that you can try and tap into. Again, for a new voiceover artist trying to find this bit of information, Voquent are just giving it away. Yeah, I'll give that one up all day long. My next up is something a little bit client-focused, but I think is a very good thing for a voiceover talent to know and understand. So there's a section on Voquent's website that talks about what it costs to hire someone on Voquent. And I'll come back to the cost element in a minute. But as a client, what it will say is, okay, you want to hire a corporate read they'll try and decide if that's for internal use or external use, i.e. does it have any commercial usage, and they will break down for the client, well, this is what it costs to hire the voiceover artist. They typically charge between this amount and this amount. A studio fee, and in normal times you might be at a studio, or if you've got something like this, if you choose, you could charge for your studio time. They'll give a rough cost about what it would take to edit and create, and an overall hourly rate or usage rates for whatever the project is. And it's actually quite a fair representation of what you could be charging out in the market. Now, what happens when a client actually sends a job through is they might identify you through the Voquent search tool, because you don't apply for roles on Voquent. It's not a cattle call site. It's a voice repository, essentially. But what the client will do is they will find your information, and they'll contact the project managers or the support team on Voquent and say, yep, I like Neil, this is the project, this is roughly what we're going to do. And the team then, without working on your behalf, comes to you and says, here's the client, here's the project, what would you charge in this particular area? And then we can go back to the client. And actually their support team is really good in liaising with you and the client to get a good outcome, to get a good return on that. So again, I just think that's a really good thing, that not a lot of other sites out there give you a production cost. Some outline what they think industry standard rates should be, and a lot of them are actually quite good on that. And again, Voquent can help you with that. But I just think that that's the first time I've seen on any of these voiceover websites that actually says, based on your 20,000 words, that's roughly a 2-hour read. Package up that with the session fees and the editing fees, your cost could be X. And actually, it's a reasonable number that I'm seeing on there. I would charge some of these numbers depending on the client and the project. So again, for a new voiceover artist joining this, that's pretty good. That's an up. And my last up for Voquent, they're free. Brilliant. It's a really interesting and great platform to have. Now, let me caveat that. I'm saying it's a really interesting and great platform to have for free. They're giving you lots and lots of information on the platform, allowing you to upload 30 samples, etc. And they come to you and say, we've got this project, what would you like to charge on this particular occasion? It's not operating in any sort of meritocracies. I've talked in other videos about certain websites where it feels like a race to the bottom. I don't get that impression with Voquent. And that they are offering this as a free platform. You can do all the things. There's no pay barrier behind it. I think that's a really good thing. The only qualifying criteria is that you are an experienced voiceover artist. And that might sound like a weird thing for me to say, right, if you're new to voiceover, get and do this. An experienced voiceover artist has to be someone that can create a quality sound. And the reason I'm telling you about Voquent is if you can't create that quality sound, and if you can't deliver a line with a certain amount of acting credibility and capability, that's something that you need to either go back and research and learn about your acting techniques, because you should be doing that anyway. That's no big thing. But I've said this before, this space that you record in, if you're able to record in that silent space and create a quality of sound, they'll tell you if it's good enough. So don't be put off and don't not apply. Double negatives, love that. Just don't be put off by doing it. But if they say to you it's not of the right quality and standard, don't say to yourself that, okay, I'm just not good enough. It should tell you something needs to be improved. And it's the same thing I've said with Voice Bunny as well. They've got a quality criteria. And actually, a lot more of these websites should have a quality level criteria. Because, again, as a free site, they're not taking your money and saying, yeah, you'll be good to go. Apply, it'll be fine. No, free website, and they will still give you that boost to say, this bit needs to be improved, you need to be a bit quieter, whatever it might be. They have moderators, and these moderators are very familiar with our industry. So they'll give you some really good information. That's an up all day long. Okay, so we come to the downs. And again, this is one of those tricky ones where I really looked at the mic. I really looked to try and find a lot of downsides for Voquent. And here's one, actually, that I think is a fair representation of some of the downsides of Voquent. So, they allow you to create this free profile, upload 30 samples in as many different varieties, dialects, languages, whichever you are confident and capable of. And what they say is, the more samples that you upload, and 30 being the maximum, says that you have excellent exposure to the marketplace. Now, that makes sense. The more samples you have up there, the more you're going to be seen. The difficulty, frustration, however you might want to come across with it with Voquent, is that you, as the voiceover artist, have no agency. There's no jobs for you to apply to. There is no audition list for you to go and use. So what I've discovered is that people upload their samples. Some get heard because there's a tracker on there. It says how many are heard and favorited. And you could upload your samples, and in a year or 6 months, or pick a timeline basically, no one will have reviewed your samples. Now, does that tell you that your samples aren't good enough, that they aren't tagged up correctly? Who knows? And that's the down. You can do all the things that Voquent suggests for you to do on the platform, and whether you're successful or not really comes down to hot luck, for lack of a better term. And because you're never quite sure about what the issue is, cycling your samples and getting new things up there, great. I absolutely encourage doing that. But what was wrong with the things that you thought were bad for? And if you approach Voquent to say, what's going on, what's wrong with my samples, I mean, they can listen to them. They do listen to them already, actually, because they do moderate all the samples that come up. So they've agreed as well, to a certain extent, that this is a good sample. Now, you have to take it, again, with a pinch of salt over the 2020, 2021, that some of the work just isn't out there that used to be out there. Maybe people aren't looking for it the same way. But that's the only down, really, spoiler alert, the only down that I give is that, yeah, you could do all the things and hope for the best. The only balm to that, really, is, well, it's a free site. Once you've set it up, you can just let it tick on. Check back in every so often. And ultimately, look forward to when that email or phone call might come in from Voquent support saying you've been asked about a project. But yeah, not bad. That's it. That's the only down that I can think of, is I wish that the platform did a little bit more to say, do you know what? You haven't been seen in 6 months. No one's favorited your things. Here are our suggestions. Now, if the platform does that and I haven't seen it, grand. But if not, Voquent, maybe start taking a look at something along those lines. But yeah, other than that, good. I have to, again, give it to them. I'm finding more and more, the more that I do these site reviews, that the British-based voiceover websites are doing a lot of good things. Not that the American ones don't, but there seems to be less contention in the experiences that I've had anyway. So, that's my review. If you've found it helpful, give me a like and subscribe. And please do actually share this video with your friends who are getting into voiceover or who are curious about voiceover. I've been really happy to see over the last few weeks messages on YouTube and on Reddit and a few other platforms of people who are actually getting a lot of value out of these videos, and ultimately that's what I make them for. So, like I say, hope this video was helpful, and remember, you can absolutely be a voiceover artist. See you in the next video.